Okay, there we go. All right. So the background of American cities and towns and urban revitalization in general. Uh, Basically, when communities were built, they made sense. They were built for. They were built very dense. There was limited means of transportation, and so they were built in a manner that really were suited for people, and all the goods and materials that were I guess, used by a community were all produced within the community, and it was a very sustainable model. It worked really well, and you can see here in this picture, like most pictures you see of downtowns, turn of the century, or well, this one's from the 20s, but in the past, they're very full. They've got lots of people. They're obviously very busy, but things changed. Policies changed, and with the advent of veterans housing loans that were strictly geared towards suburban sprawl type development. You had the federal highway system, and then you can see in the bottom left corner, there's the removal of the streetcar system in that city. So you had different policies that were put in place on a federal level that really pushed people away from downtown. That made a huge change in the shape of things. There's a lot of money to be made in developing raw land, and so people moved away from city centers, and we're left with places that look like this. These places were built with pride at one point. They mattered. They were part of a community, and now they're basically melting on their side and become derelict, become a problem for communities. And how do you handle that? And these have been replaced by something that's been coined as generica, places that don't matter, disposable buildings, things that were never meant to last the test of time. 10, 20 years, these are, if they're not already empty, they're falling apart, and they just don't mean anything. They're as somebody said, there's no there, and that's what these places are. There's no sense of community in these places. There's no sense of pride when they're built, and they're truly disposable. Hence the need for some sort of revitalization. That's the situation that we're in briefly, and so there needs to be a way to revitalize these urban districts to return them to what they once were. And hence the Main Street program. The Main Street program is a system for doing that. It's a trademark program of the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Heritage Ohio coordinates the program here in the state of Ohio, and there are 34 Main Street programs in the state. Every Main Street program requires a paid professional manager, required to do work plans for the boards and committees, and we can get more into what work plans are. Ongoing training for managers and volunteers. We do offer trainings throughout the year, and Main Street programs are required to attend those trainings. Accountability and an annual evaluation. We are just getting into annual evaluation season now, and every Main Street program goes through that evaluation, and we work with those communities to see if they're getting the job done that they say they are, that there's some sort of accountability back to their own community and supporters. And finally, a grassroots commitment. This doesn't come from just the Chamber of Commerce or the city. The commitment to revitalize a community, a district, a downtown has to come from the entire community, from the grassroots level. The 8 basic principles for a Main Street program. The first is that it is a comprehensive approach. There's no big quick fix. You can't fix downtown by building a parking deck or a downtown mall or a baseball diamond. Those are all projects that have been promised before that offered huge returns and rarely ever result in what was promised. The picture in the upper right hand corner is the city center in Columbus, which is now a park that was lasted 25 years, and I think everybody thought it would last longer. So there's no quick fix. There's no silver bullet solution to fixing a downtown. Oftentimes, once these big projects come in, they're usually after so many other things that have already been done, but that's never going to be a solution. Relies on quality. As Donovan Ripkema said, that unless you do something that's better than average, you're going to be getting worse, and that goes for street furniture. It goes for events and marketing brochures, and certainly for building rehabs. Anything that you're going to do better be of high quality. It all reflects back on your community. So we often tell communities if it's not going to be done very well, don't waste the money and time doing it. Come up with other projects. Meaningful long-term revitalization possible through public-private partnerships. We will not work with the community that doesn't have a public-private partnership. If the board of directors isn't made up of municipal officials and private sector individuals, we won't work with community. It's just too important. There's too much to get done, and it really does have to be a collaborative effort from everyone in the community to accomplish a revitalization in the district. Involves changing attitudes. This one often sounds like rhetoric, but it's one of the I think greatest truisms of working in Main Street and downtown revitalization is that in the beginning, most people think that their community can't be turned around, that their downtown is dead, and I've heard it time and time again that this place is dead, nothing can happen here, and that's one of the people tend to hear that and sort of follow that line of thinking with their money. No one wants to shop in an area where they think it's dead. Nobody wants to invest. And one of the biggest things I've seen that turns around districts, while there's a lot of work getting done, a general change in attitude of people saying, positive things are happening. We are working on good things. There's so much going on downtown. Tends to lead to more enthusiasm and more investment and more momentum. I think it's a lot like the stock market, that if everyone says the market's down and the economy's rough, well, people pull their money out and the economy then declines, and vice versa. Everybody wants to invest if they think things are positively happening. Relies on focuses on existing assets. This is very true. As you all saw that slide earlier of Generica. Target and Wilmington and Wellington and Columbus and Denver and LA, it all looks the same. Strip malls are all the same, and they don't matter. They don't have any special sense of place. To where your downtown, your historic buildings, your historic districts are unique. Those are the things that should be celebrated and should really be a focus of all your efforts. What makes your community unique is the best thing that you have going, and really what needs to be celebrated and a focus. Main Street is a self-help program. Nobody else is going to come in and fix your downtown. There's not Donald Trump isn't waiting on the wings just to fix your white elephant. It really is up to the community to take on the work themselves to fix what needs to get done. There's too much to get done to sit around and wait for somebody from outside to come and find the diamond in the rough. Get to work. And here's an example in I think it might be Elyria, where the shop owners were parking behind their buildings, flipping open the neon on sign and never bothered to look in the front of their store, in the windows, in the breezeway, to see what it looked like, what the appearance was, and oftentimes I think there was trash or cigarette butts in the breezeways, maybe cobwebs on the windows. So this Main Street program bought brooms, put nice bows on them, and handed them out to the shop owners and asked them if they knew how to use a broom. Sent a strong message, and I think it really compelled the community to fix it themselves. Main Street's approach is incremental in nature. This doesn't happen overnight. There's problem buildings, there's problem businesses, there's any number of different issues that any Main Street or a downtown faces, and there's no single quick overnight solution. A number of different things have to happen over a long period of time to make these changes. And here's an example from Lancaster where I was the former Main Street director and worked with the chamber president to improve the process of doing business. There were rumors throughout the community that it was really hard to do business with the city, that the city was difficult and tried to make it hard to invest. And so I worked with the former chamber president. We worked with the city to map out what was the process of doing business, where were people getting hung up, what were the issues. And we found that there were a couple issues, that in the building department some people thought that their job was to stop investment when really it was their job to try to help building projects get underway and completed. So the city was very helpful and changed some people around and made the process simple. And this particular bar owner, who was difficult at times to work with, decided that it was worth his time and money to make an investment in the property. And he renovated the building, and now the Orange Carpet Lounge looks like this. And so it made a huge difference. He even said the business went up 20% following his renovation. So there was an example of working on one piece of the process, which had a great result on the other side. So it is very incremental in nature, and small victories, laying down a foundation, can lead to big building projects. And finally, Main Street is implementation oriented. We require work plans from all of the Main Street programs. It is about getting things done. Here's an example of a board member in Portsmouth out digging dirt, out planting flowers. If that's what it's about, that you have to get out and get things done. A work plan is it's a series of tasks. It's your strategic plan laid out in sample tasks or in specific tasks with names and dates next to it. And at the end of the year, we review all of those, and it makes a huge difference to getting the work done if you can show everything you plan to accomplish, who's going to accomplish it, and on what date. So that's the underlying principles of how Main Street works, and we'll get into the structure of what Main Street looks like. So the ideal organization, the Main Street blueprint. You've got a board of directors. This is made up of community leaders. This could be property owners, building owners, or business owners, city officials, council, mayor. This could also be just community leaders, somebody from the hospital, possibly somebody from the university, but those individuals that have the ability to make decisions that can get things done. Underneath them, you have your staff person that coordinates the work on a day-to-day basis, and underneath that, you've got your committees that actually get the work done. So it creates it's a nice system. So you have your leadership on top of the board of directors that creates an annual strategic work plan. There's a million things that need to get done, but somebody has to decide what's actually going to get done. The manager coordinates that work, and the committees actually implement that work. A good example is that on a construction project, you have your developer that decides what needs to get done, what you're going to build, what you're going to renovate. They don't have to be on site every day. They're not going to do all the work, but they've decided that they want to do this, that they're going to pay for it, that they're going to see that the job gets done. Program manager would be a project manager. They're on site every day to coordinate. They can't do all the work. There's not enough time, but they need to coordinate that all the things are getting done on a timely basis and that everybody knows what one another is doing. And finally, your contractors would be your committees. They have the expertise. They've got the numbers. They can actually get the work done, and it creates a really nice system. Why include the bottom quote, "A house built to everyone's advice leans"? That really goes back to the leadership. Anybody that's worked in revitalization has heard a million different ideas on what needs to get done in their district, and there's just not enough time. There's not enough time to get all those things done, and not all the ideas are great. So it really is up to the board of directors to decide, here's what we're going to do in year one, and here's what we're going to do in year two, and get those things done. It takes that leadership to be able to take some heat sometimes and accomplish something, though, that maybe not everyone agrees with.